We didn't have that on my generation.
There wasn't a Pinayista.
No, and so I take my hats off to your generation for recognizing that you need a village, because that's what's going to power you forward faster.
Welcome to Bitch Talk. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm co-host Ange, a.k.a. Captain Party.
2026 brings us into our 13th year of podcasting, and we're proud to be here. Thank you to our followers and longtime listeners for voting us Best of the Bay Best Podcast for 3 years in a row, and to SF Film for adding us to the respected list of Essential SF winners.
If this is your first time listening, where the hell have you been? But better late than never. We're like if the rap group Salt and Peppa met the show Grace and Frankie and had a baby. And if you don't understand what that means, ask Jeeves. And now, on with the show. Clink!
Hey Bitch Talkers, we are coming to you live from the Seal Creative Space. We're at the Pinayista Summit. It's their 5th summit, and Ange and I got invited to, do some interviews and then also be on a panel today. So it's a special day for Bitch Talk.
And for those of you that don't know, Pinayista is a vibrant community of Filipino women, entrepreneurs, and creative solopreneurs with a mission to build sisterhood in the hustle, founded by friend of the show, Gina, Mariko, Rosales. And we're so excited to be here. We've already cried in a group.
Yeah.
We've been inspired.
Communal crying.
Holy shit. The morning started with 5 lightning talks, they were calling it. Really badass Pinays from all walks of life, from chefs to entrepreneur to
Healers.
Lola, healers.
Yeah. To a 16-year-old who has more wisdom than we ever did in our pinky at 16.
Yeah. We're really lucky to be here right now, especially in this time. It's tough times for everyone. So being in spaces like this, in safe spaces, it really does feel like you're with family. So we're going to bring you a sequence of interviews with some really badass Pinays. So enjoy our conversations, and we'll see you on the other side.
I'm Gina Mariko Rosales, and I'm the founder and director of Pinayista.
And I'm Lillian Rosales. I am her mom, Gina's mom.
You're the founder of Gina?
I'm the founder of Gina.
True story.
Yes, I'm the birther of Gina.
The ultimate founder.
And I used to be, I am also currently Lola Ling.
Aw, yes.
But I used to be senior director for compliance.
For Kaiser.
Yeah.
I'm stressed out when I hear that. Your panel was beautiful, Roots and Wings. And I do want to ask you, I can share a little bit. I did a few years of therapy with my mom. Yeah. And and that's a different conversation. But I love that you talked about, Gina, about timing. And how maybe it's the right time for you to have the conversation with your mom about feelings and all these things, but then maybe it wasn't the right time for your mom to have those conversations. So can you talk about opening up to a community about this journey of healing and grief and really talking and getting to know each other?
So about timing, I think some of this openness and talking and sitting down and actually listening to each other, Gina was right. Now is a better time for me, because I have time. And because I'm older and I'm wiser about relationships with your kids, with other people, and so forth. So this perceptiveness and just open to listening is a lot more, shall we say, pronounced now. And so the time is ripe. Yeah, riper. Yeah, so it's a better time.
Yeah, same for me too, because I don't think I was ready to have that kind of open conversation with my mom yet, because I still wasn't in a place where I was ready for direct communication. I didn't even know what that looked like. Yeah. And I had never practiced that. So I didn't even know how to begin. Because there was so much stress and craziness, because I remember I was telling somebody they were like, oh, the relationship with your mom is so beautiful. I was like, now.
Exactly.
And I could remember not even a couple years ago where like you would call me and I'd be like, ugh. Like, not in a like, mean way, but like, oh, my mom's calling me. What is it? And then I would be talking to you, and I'd get off the phone, and my husband would be like, you're kind of mean. And he'd be like, you're kind of mean to your mom. And I was like, well, she was frustrating me. You know, so we would already, like, butt. So we weren't even, like, able to have, like, you know, those basic kind of logistical conversations. So, yeah, the timing wasn't right for me either.
And I think at a certain age, we're both older and wiser, and you are more sensitive and more aware about how to talk in a way that the other person is more likely to listen, right? When you're more, there's a level of consciousness that, you know, and there's also an awareness. Here's what's going on with Gina right now, and so I should approach this topic with her in a certain way so that there's greater likelihood that she's going to listen. So it's you know, age and experience and wisdom kind of teaches you how to change the approach that you take. So, I mean, and, you know, that happens at different times for different people, right? So, but it is amazing that now with Aki, my grandson, who's 4, it's amazing that my level of communication with him is just wide open. I mean, seriously, you know, we talk about, you know, why are you feeling frustrated? Why are you mad? And I would never have imagined having that conversation with my 2 kids when they were growing up, and even as young adults.
Yeah.
But now, somehow it comes naturally with Aki. So, there you go. I mean,
the feelings wheel. Like, we're literally at 40 and 70. Learning how to tap into that emotions wheel, you know? Like,
I still need that.
I feel angry, you know? Like,
definitely not my strongest suit. But that's why I think there were a lot of tears during your panel, because all of us can relate to that as children of immigrants, as parents who were trying to raise. There was just sort of a disconnect. We couldn't understand each other. But I think watching you both process it in real time. You know, for me, I've lost my parents, and I couldn't talk to them in this way. But watching you two do it sort of made me feel at peace, like I did it too. You know, because
oh my God, I love that.
Well, it did.
And
it like hit like, okay, I know that, you know, we couldn't talk about these things, but I know they felt that way, and I know they meant well. They just didn't have the tools.
And for me now, with time in my hands, I am understanding why my parents were the way they were, why they didn't want to talk about properties, right? I mean, you know, and understanding and to some degree forgiving the fact that that is who they were, and those are the value systems they had. You know, they did not talk about money. It was a taboo topic.
Even
for
less
them.
Than we did.
Right. And so for me now that I understand and I have a greater understanding of the impact of that sort of communication style, I want to change it for them and definitely for Aki, right? Because so now we can talk openly about money, about assets, about, you know, ancestral properties in the Philippines, you know, and why that's important and why it's important for them to know about it, because it has memories, right? You know, even if it's a small plot of land, it belonged to their great-grandparents.
And so, literally next month, during Christmas, like my family, like all 24 of us are going to the Philippines together. For the first time. And, of course, our family's planning it, which is hilarious. Like, we have all the type A's in our family.
You, the event plan.
Me, my brother, my mom. And actually, my brother's even more pushy than me. So, but we're all going to the Philippines, and we're going to visit our ancestral town together for the first time and visit the land that my mom is talking about. So,
chills. That's
I know.
So
I know.
special.
It's amazing. So.
I want to know when this kind of emotional intelligence clicked for both of you. Was it around the same time? Was it because of the grandson? Like, was there a moment where you both felt maybe independently or together, like, oh, it's different now?
I think for me, our conversation when they were growing up was very contextual, right? When they were in elementary school, high school, college, the conversation was all about academics, school, after school activity. That was the nature of the conversation.
It was like functional.
It was very, right? But once they graduated and they were living their own lives, then that's where the hard topics come in, right? And that's where sort of these differences in the way we think about things kind of started to come out, because now they're independent adults. They want to do things their own way, and that doesn't always sort of comply or adjust to how we would approach life, right? And that's when the conversations got kind of bumping heads.
Yeah.
Right? So
it had to be like contentious before it could get good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing I kept thinking as I was listening to everybody this morning is when we talk about intergenerational healing, the context is usually right versus wrong, right? The younger generation looks at their parents, their grandparents, and say how they did things, how they approached things, how they thought about things, it was wrong. And our thinking is right. And
that's so Catholic of us.
Yeah.
Good or bad, right or wrong,
right.
Heaven or hell,
But now in my age and my lived experience, I try to think about it more contextually. My parents had the values they had because that was their environment at that time. And I have the values I have because that was the values I saw from my parents, but it was the value system in my environment at that time. But with you and Alvin, your value system is shaped more by the fact that you grew up here.
American
Value system. But I think most Filipinos, young ones, especially the ones born here, there's contention between the value system they see here as Americans and the value system their parents expect them to demonstrate as Filipinos, right? Or children of Filipinos, and that's where the butting heads comes into play. So it makes for fun family dinners.
Thanksgiving.
It's life, right?
Thanksgiving interesting.
Thanksgiving interesting, yes.
Also, fuck Thanksgiving. But anyways, sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to.
So I have two specific times that I remember.
Yeah.
So the first instance was actually, I had just taken sabbatical. So remember, like on the panel, I talked about how I had a bad burnout and I took a 3-month sabbatical.
And I think we talked about that on the podcast.
On our first
one,
interview.
because
True.
I remember
that's
seeing
right.
this happening in real time on
Oh my
social
gosh.
media, and I maybe I reached out, I don't remember, but I was like, I'm feeling for you, and I was telling her that this was going on with you. But anyways, please continue. It was a time.
I remember it was. So I was on sabbatical for 3 months, and part of it was like, oh my gosh, I have a new nephew now. He had just been born in August, and now this was like February or something. It's like, I want to spend more time with him. And so y'all, Mom and Dad, were babysitting Aki as like a 6-month-old, basically, at our childhood home in Pacifica, where I grew up. Because that was just the easiest place between where my brother would drop them off, whatever. It was logistics. So they were watching Aki in Pacifica. And then I would come to Pacifica to help because now I'm on sabbatical. I have time.
Yeah.
And so here I am in my childhood home watching my parents care for my nephew in such a calm, loving, caring, patient way. And there was a part of me that was like, that was not my experience in this house. Because my experience in the house, there was a lot of like, Alvin was a teenager.
Rush.
There was a lot of like stress. There was like yelling, doors slamming, and like not talking to each other. And then here they are, like so healed and like, what do you need? I'm like, wow, okay. So that alone was that healed a lot, just by being in there and watching y'all two, and then raising him together.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. So
Yeah.
that was like the first instance. And then the second instance for me was like last year, actually. So I had just produced POC Food and Wine Festival.
Which we were at, and it was amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So
It was
we
fun.
launched, like, this was like a brainchild of mine. I was like committed. I was like, I'm going to do it. Launched this festival and lost a lot of money, like a lot of money. And, you know, now I can look at it as an investment. I invested in a brand and like an event that I believe in, but it was literally the opening dinner, and I already knew how much I was going to lose going into that dinner.
Yeah.
And was like, F me, I can't believe it. And my parents came to that dinner. It was like this beautiful Palestinian dinner with Reams.
Yeah.
They came to the dinner, and I remember my mom was like, you were like, this is so beautiful, Gina. Oh my gosh, like, wow. And I was like, Mom, I'm losing so much money. I had to sell some of my Google stock to pay for this, and I feel so ashamed.
Yeah.
And this was like right before dinner starts. And then
I don't even remember that.
you don't remember this?
No,
and then
no.
you just leaned over to me and you said, well, Gina, if that's how you want to spend your Google stock, then do it. This is beautiful. And that healed me so much, because in that moment I felt like a failure. Like that whole weekend was crazy because I was feeling that going into it. But then when we were there at the main festival day, I literally felt like I was floating on a joy cloud.
I feel like you were.
You looked like
on
you
Saturday.
were.
Yes.
This was on Fridays when we said this to each other
dinner.
on
Yeah.
Saturday, and that's the only way I could explain it. Was like, I feel like I'm floating on a joy cloud, because I was like, oh my God, I created this, and like, forget that shame. Look at how beautiful this is, you know, and then was able to really just enjoy it and lean in.
Yeah, and I
So
think
thanks for that, Mom. You
you
healed
really
me
brought
with
it.
that. You really did.
and
That
Even
one
though you don't
sentence.
remember.
I don't remember that,
But it happened.
see,
So
right. But see, here's the realization for me, okay? So I spent my 40 years plus of working in corporate America, and that's a very different work experience. So where Gina spent a few years in corporate America but had the bravery to go out on her own. And when I look at what it took for her to spin off from, I mean,
Yeah,
at the
real
end of the
solid,
day,
good job.
Yeah, a real solid, good job, and to some degree, some would call it a good safety net.
Yes.
But to venture out on your own was brave, and to be the CEO of your company and take care of yourself, your employees, your clients, and do it well, that takes guts, it takes bravery, and it takes just pure determination. And, you know, there's different ways you fail, quote unquote, in the corporate world and in business. And you stumble in both places. And to me, losing money in your first few years as a business is the same as not being so good in the first few years of your corporate life. Same thing, right? It's a learning process, and you get better with years of experience. So, you know, it's okay. As I said, you got to stumble.
Well, I also want to say she's been building community now for 10 years.
I know.
Which I think right now in this
Yeah.
time is like the biggest thing that you can do, and building it from the ground up and
Yeah.
bringing them
Yeah.
together. Like that, I don't see a lot of corporations really actually doing that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like with their whole heart.
And
So
and doing it in a way that you're actually allowing people a sort of a safe spot, a
Yes.
safe space
Safety space.
to
yeah.
learn and share and support each other.
Yeah, I was
So-
going to say that dinner was probably the highlight of some of those people's year.
yeah.
And I know we were covering the POC Food and Wine Fest, and
Yeah.
we interviewed, 10, 12 people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone was blown away. Everybody
Yeah.
was just like,
I loved it.
You can feel the love
Yeah.
in this room.
Yeah.
I've never worked an event like
Yeah.
this. I've never been to an event like this. So whatever you thought of in your own head, this is what we were all feeling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's beautiful.
yeah.
You know what's a crazy, another moment that literally, I don't know if you remember this either, like we were at your house in the bathroom or something,
Yeah.
and I was just like telling you about getting my first business loan, which I only got in
yeah.
year 9. So I've been bootstrapping it, and year 9 I got my first business loan, and I was telling her about it, and she stopped me. We're literally in her bathroom, and she goes, "Wait, you have been bootstrapping this entire time?"
Yeah, I did not.
And I was like,
realize.
"Yeah," and she's like, "That's amazing."
Yeah.
And that alone, it was like, oh, I never thought to tell you, because I didn't think you could be that kind of like peer or whatever to like listen. And then the fact that you respected that and like could see how hard that was, like that alone was like.
But in hindsight, think about it. That means you were self-funding.
Yeah.
All those years.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We know what that means.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what
it's
that
exhausting
means because I've never been a businesswoman, but just thinking about it and knowing about it. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Kudos,
we're tired.
kiddo.
We are.
We're tired.
This is what we're
Kudos.
doing out here, Mama.
Yeah.
All these women up in here.
On that note, that's why we need to party too.
As
We
we're
will
ready.
be
I
having
think
a good
everyone
party
is
at
like
the end of this
very
day.
ready. Yeah, but it's beautiful.
Well, what a beautiful day it's been, and thank you both for being so open about your story and where you are and where you came from. It was obviously moving. You saw the tissues being passed around, right? It was a moment. It was so special.
Yeah, next time I'd say every year we're gonna get Kleenex to sponsor.
Are there any Filipina Kleenex? Or no,
I
not
know.
Kleenex. We have to come up with our
Tissue.
own name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will.
Let's
Yeah,
think
good
about
thought.
this.
We will.
Yeah.
It could be like little balikbayan box. It
She's
looks
like,
a
now.
balibayan
She's
box.
really
Now.
gonna
You
workshop
really
this
want it
right
now.
now.
Yeah.
She's
No,
workshopping.
figure out a name. Okay.
Do you want to do the last segment with
Yes.
us?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a special end of segment thing that we do with our
Love
guests
it.
now. It's called
Yeah.
This Bitch. So you can
Your
choose.
face. You can't see your face.
You can choose to either give someone their shine, like this
Yeah.
bitch is incredible, or this bitch.
Are you gonna
So
say
I
it?
have to think
shine
about
or-
somebody.
Shine or like a side eye, like oof,
Yeah.
this bitch cut me off.
Yeah. So who's your
In
this
the
bitch?
Target.
I mean, we're basically at a summit full of incredible bitches.
Yes.
So you can
Yeah.
pick anyone here or
Does that
anyone
make you
in-
uncomfortable
Well,
saying the
I have
word?
to think.
No, that like they're
Oh.
saying bitch, like so, like
Well, I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. Let's put it that way.
It's
Well,
not.
you
Yes.
said it first.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
saying.
true.
Remember,
You said it at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
I went to Catholic girls' school.
So did
Same,
she.
same.
So did she.
12 years.
It's
Yes.
a sin. Not anymore. So, no, I have to think about it
Okay,
first.
I'll go first. So this bitch that I want to shout out is just Stephanie Genkaiko.
Yep.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan of hers for so long, like with Hella Pinay. And when I launched my new
Yeah.
nonprofit, she came to the launch party in the studio, and I had her magazine like up on display on top of our little mini fridge because I just stand for her and her creative direction. So I'm so honored she accepted the role to become Summit Curator this year.
Yeah.
And as she said in her talk this morning, her mom is in ICU all week, and let alone she was saying, I can't believe, like it just is so beautiful to be a part of a team that actually means what they say, because she could step away and we all just like stepped up, and so that she could just be with her mom, and she's here today and being open and honest and present, and just love her so much. Yeah.
I'm not so sure that I have one specific bitch in mind.
I can't, and I
That
love
came
it so
out
much.
so smoothly.
I love
It did.
Mom.
It was like
I love that.
I
for
feel
you.
like you've just been saying it.
I think you're a co-host now, Mom.
Yeah.
Officially.
But
Holy moly!
I will start with this bitch.
Oh, shit. I can't.
I
Pointing at her daughter.
continue to admire her and can't imagine. Well, I can, because Gina has always been Gina from the time that she was little. She
True
always
story.
behaved like this. She was always in control,
Yeah.
even when she was in grade school. But just the bravery and the sort of the just pure determination to get to where she wants to go is admirable. And then when I look at you and all the ladies out there, all the bitches out there, and just, again, it's just pure determination.
Yes.
Knowing what you want out of life and just putting the steps to get to the next whatever that next place is for them, and to know that they have to reach out and find a community. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that on my generation.
There wasn't a Pinayista. Yeah.
No. And so I take my hats off to your generation for recognizing that you need a village. Because, that's what's going to power you forward faster. So kudos to all of you.
I love that.
Well, I feel healed. Thank you. That was beautiful. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yay.
We'll see you at the party.
So, hi, I'm Lisa Angulo Reid, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Dear Flor. Dear Flor is the very first infused gummy made with Filipino flavors.
How did Dear Flor come to fruition? Because it seems like, it says here, and I know for a fact, you're the only one in the space that's doing this.
Yeah.
So how and what did it take to do this?
Oh, goodness. So I guess to kind of understand how Dear Flor came into fruition, I think I need to share a little bit about my background and where I came from. So I worked, over 20 years in advertising, so in the agency space. And I worked over at WPP on probably some of their largest blue chip CPG or consumer packaged goods clients. So I spent a lot of time, if you wash your hair, brush your teeth, eat cookies, feed your dog or cat, I probably touched that piece of business at one point, in my life. And my husband was one of the very first, Filipino Americans to, work on Wall Street. He worked for a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. So he was one of the first Filipino Americans to do that. And so he was actually the first one to enter into the cannabis space. And at some point in time, I started going with him to cannabis conferences, and I became the thought leader in my agency for, cannabis and cannabis insights. Because, again, in the world of packaged goods, a lot of these big brands, while they can't enter into the cannabis space because of, federal legality, they're interested in knowing because it is the future. Mm-hmm. So started doing that. I left the agency world, went into brand marketing for a tech company, which was, good experience. But at my heart, I learned that I'm a CPG girly. I love knowing what people are interested in, what is the next big food, flavor, trend, what do real people care about, right? You only really care about software when you need the software. Right.
Correct. I still don't know what Salesforce does. So. You know what I mean? Anyways.
Anyway, but my husband and I went to college with each other, and we always knew that we wanted to work on something together. We also knew that we wanted to work on something that was, really a celebration of our heritage and our culture. So we wanted to do something but make it Filipino. And so, we started just looking at the trends. And, at that point in time, we realized that searches for Filipino food had gone up by 500% over the course of 5 years. We saw things like searches for ube also going up around 500 plus, percent in that same time period. And that said to us, this isn't just Filipinos who are interested in our food, right? You started seeing TikTok videos in the millions upon millions of views, being done, and it could be a dessert, could be ice cream, could be whatever. But we're like, okay, there is something that is happening right now. Andrew Zimmern had claimed it, 10 to 12 years ago? Not Andrew Zimmern. It was Anthony Bourdain. And then Zimmern, who had said that Filipino food is going to be the next big thing. And we're like, I think the next big thing is happening right now. We also started looking at cannabis users, specifically edibles users. And when you do the Venn diagram of people who are interested in Filipino food and culture and people who love edibles, literally the center of the Venn diagram is another freaking circle. And so we're just kind of like, this is really interesting because there's so much overlap in these two cohorts.
Stoners and food lovers.
And so we said, wow, okay, this could be a really interesting and unexpected way to introduce Filipino culture, not just to non-Filipinos, but to our own community, right? And so that's kind of how Dear Flor came about.
That's incredible.
So.
And you had all the numbers, too, during your talk up there. That was impressive.
The numbers are courtesy of my husband. So he's the finance operations analyst, and his job, going back to his old days, working on Wall Street, he's long on two things, cannabis and Filipino culture. And so it works.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, you really started the morning off with a bang with your speech. It was really moving because you're diving into why we need to we need to own our own businesses.
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just be part of the workforce and make enough money to survive. Can you dive into that?
Sure. I mean, it's really interesting because I think a lot of our legacy thinking around work, I mean, it's an easy thing to say blame colonialism, but you know what? Blame colonialism, right? Because from the early 1900s, the Philippines was already starting to export caregivers and nurses, right? Mm-hmm. And we get to the point now where the country of the Philippines is literally punch drunk on the remittances that they're getting from their overseas foreign workers, a lot of whom are caregivers, nurses, healthcare workers. And so, as a result, I think it's fairly common for a lot of young Filipino Americans to be told, focus on steady, stable, get that paycheck. You don't need to rock the boat. Just make sure you can live comfortably and well. And healthcare is a noble profession, right? My parents were both in the medical field. My dad was a doctor. My mom is a nurse. But when you have that mindset, it doesn't really teach us how to swing for the fences. Mm-hmm. Coming back to the numbers, right? Again, when you look at the demographics, when you look at the number of Indians, Chinese, Vietnamese, and compare what their percentage of ownership is, Chinese, it's pretty much 1-to-1. It's, the number of businesses owned matches the population size. Mm. The Indians over-index, right? The Vietnamese, who are much smaller than the Filipinos, also over-index. I think a lot of us heard growing up, he's just going to run a Dunkin' Donuts because that's all he needs. That's all he knows how to do, right? What they didn't realize, and I think we can see it now because hindsight is 20/20, for folks like the Indians, it's not just about owning one Dunkin' Donuts. It's about owning all the freaking Dunkin' Donuts, right. Franchise. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the nail salons. It's not just about opening up one nail salon. It's like, how many nail salons can I have? I think that's a little bit of the mindset that needs to shift, because if we are going to create any level of generational wealth or influence amongst the Filipino American community, we have to get comfortable, swing for the fences, even if it means, if you want to call it failure, fine, but it's not failure. It's trying things, trying to understand, what works. If we don't take those risks, we risk losing out on so much. I think one of the big numbers that is Filipino buying power, right, at $163 billion. Like, that is a significant amount of money that we are not putting into our community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are effectively making a lot of other people very, very wealthy. Why can't we turn just a percentage of that inward, into our community? Like, what could happen if the world, shifted in that direction? I think a lot of amazing things could happen.
And if we continue to support our own businesses.
Absolutely.
That's why I just bought that piece of art right today.
She's supporting all of the businesses today.
And I will be buying a parole as well. Go ahead, Erin.
Well, I wanted to ask what this conversation looks like when you're out and about in the community. And is it generational, or are the younger folks, obviously, I think, probably understanding it, but how do the older folks feel, or the people that are in the middle, about ownership?
So it's interesting. I think because, I'm a Gen Xer, so we are too. Yeah, so my mother is the only one, who's around. My father passed 3 years ago. And it's fascinating because I do see a shift in mindset where I think they are now at a place where they can look with a little bit of wonder at the possibilities that they didn't see for themselves at the time, right? And I think there's also growing appreciation amongst our cohort and the younger cohorts that a lot of this wonder and possibility is because of the choices our parents made. We may not agree with that. We may not want to live like that for ourselves and for our future, selves, or, people come after us. But I think we have to acknowledge that if they hadn't made these choices, we wouldn't have had the freedom to dream as we do. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. I have one more question, or just a thought, because you were talking about how Filipino food is now trendy, which is the weirdest thing for me, because I remember growing up, I'd have friends come over, and I'd be like nervous for them to even catch a glimpse of what's in my fridge, because they'd be like, "Is that a fish head? Ew!" You know what I mean? It smells weird, and just so used to having my food get made fun of, and my especially what was in my fridge. Now, I was just at the Marriott, and I had a burger with an ube bun, and I was just like at the Marriott. So it's just wild to me. Like, is it trendy now to be Filipino? That's crazy, right?
So, like, I have a couple of thoughts on this. I think absolutely it is trendy, but I think as a community we have to make sure that we are not reduced to being a trend, right? Only seeing the trend is absolutely reductive, to us as a community. And it also doesn't really allow our food to shine with the respect that it deserves. So should we capitalize on those trends? You know what? Absolutely, right? If you are a Filipino American cafe owner, they should be buying their ube lattes from you for $9. No shame, because there's somebody else down the street who's doing it, who is literally just putting some shit purple syrup in there and calling it ube latte, and people just aren't the wiser. So I think, yes, capitalize on the trends, but make sure that we are always working every day to make sure that we're not reduced to solely being that trend, because then this comes back to what I was saying about performative representation and tokenism. That is the fallacy of being visible 24/7, is that you have to keep that visibility, and the expense when you don't own it and claim it is you're just a token thing, and then what's next? Not ube.
Lisa, I could listen to you talk about anything. Can we shine on your podcast as well? Let our listeners know what you're doing, what you're up to in the podcast space.
Well, so I do have a podcast. I will admit I'm probably the laziest podcaster in the planet, only because, it's really just a consequence of time.
Yeah, it's
right?
work.
Yeah.
And so, 100 Ways, which is our podcast, Substack, as well as our new community, right? It is dedicated. So the podcast, I guess let's break it down two in one, right? So the podcast and Substack is really about illuminating a lot of the stories that we didn't hear growing up. Right? We all are very familiar with the struggle stories. We're very familiar with, the medical stories and some of the, early immigration stories. And we need that. But I think in order to kind of inspire the next generation of leaders, entrepreneurs, creators, we need to hear more about folks who took non-traditional paths and maybe said, you know what, I'm not going to do this. Even though it goes against the grain of tradition, but are finding, either their identity or success through that journey. So that's kind of what we explore in the podcast. The Substack does that, but for me, it's also things that I'm thinking about in the moment, conversations that I want to have more of because I don't think we're talking enough about it. Then you've got the community, which we just launched earlier this week. So 100 Ways community, it is a free member-led community. It is for Filipino-American business owners and founders, and we have one mandate, and that is to increase the number of Filipino-American-owned businesses from 5% to 10% in 5 years. So it's our belief that we can actually do it in 2 with some level of focus, and I like, over-delivering. So let's start with 5 years, and that way we're not too fussed to make it happen. But I think we can do it in 2, and so it's open for people to join. All that we ask is, 1, you are ready to share a problem that you need help with, because that's the purpose of this community, and 2, you come ready to share any gifts that you have that might help support other community members. So pretty simple, pretty basic.
We're going to end on our new, what are we calling it? Segment. Thank you. Let me drink more coffee. Our new segment, it's called This Bitch.
Okay.
So that's either going to shine a light on someone or you just need to rant. So who's your bitch? Who's your bitch? Who's this bitch for you right now? Who's your bitch? I don't know.
Who's your bitch?
No, who's your this bitch?
Who's your
this bitch? You either shine or, throw a little shade. Shine or shade.
Shine or shade.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I am the wrong person to ask this question because I'm going to give it to you all. Let's see. God, this bitch is honestly having the means. And what I mean by the means, it could be financial, it could be expertise to support and uplift the community and choosing not to, right? And that mindset around it. And I think where we see this most often is when it comes to investment in Filipino-American businesses. I mean, speaking from experience, it took a really long time to get a Filipino investor for Dear Floor. And interestingly, when we got one, it wasn't anybody from our own network. This was someone that we didn't know who believed in what we were doing. And it's funny, right? And we see this a lot with older generation Filipinos. They'd much rather plunk down $10K on a gala, like one night of like getting dressed up and seeing your name in a program, instead of applying that $10,000 to a business and creating, the opportunity for someone to make, generational wealth and influence. Like, I think that is one of the biggest barriers to ownership, and that is one of my biggest, I guess that is my this bitch.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's legit.
So.
Love it. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
I feel like we also have that conversation about people in community, and you're like, oh, I thought you were down, but you're not. So.
I think my other...
It's always people that surprise you, though, that come in through the woodworks. Like, whoa, I expected it from this person, but not from you.
It's never the person you expect. Never. I think the other this bitch is... I got so many.
We got time.
You had this one, and now we're going to go to this one. Go.
Well, no.
Lisa.
The other this bitch is... and this... Historically, when you have Filipino Americans succeed in business, it's kind of like they're back in the Philippines. They retreat behind the walled gates, and you never freaking see them again. Maybe you see them at a gala, but but you never ever see them again. There's an opportunity for knowledge sharing here, And so, I don't know if it's crab mentality, where you just want to hold on to what you got and not share it, but we come back to the number of only 5% of Asian-owned businesses are owned by Filipinos. There is opportunity for more, and it's our belief that more is more. There is so much. The lane is wide open. There is no need for us to be crabs in a bucket now. So, yeah, that's my other this bitch. So.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This has been eye-opening and honored to be part of your community, hopefully, at this point.
Join the community. If you guys are doing this, seriously, sign up. We go from city to city. The intent there is we all meet up at a Filipino-owned coffee shop, restaurant, whatever. We just buy our own drink, and you come with your problem and a willingness to help, and that's it.
Well, I'll see you at the gala.
Yeah. Oh, I will not see you at the gala. Sorry. I don't have 10K for that shit. So
no, we do not.
Well, I'm Chef Charlene. I was born in Jersey in the East Coast, raised in the Bay Area, 707 Vallejo. I am a proud Pinay, Bakla presenting. My pronouns are she, they, siya, maganda pogi, curtsy.
And mic drop.
Okay. I'm a Food Network Chop champion, entrepreneur, and a culinary creative.
Well, not just that, you are the first Filipino American to win Chopped.
Right, yeah.
Which is what she's looking at me because I kind of religiously watch Chopped. So it's one of my favorite shows just to always put on. So congratulations on that. Because it seems like that's a very stressful show.
Yeah, it was, it was on fire.
Yeah. No joke.
Well, and we've both worked in service industries. I've worked with a lot of different types of chefs, and chef personalities are all over the place. But you are such a calm-seeming...
it appears, huh?
Yeah. You're fooling us real well. But first I want to find out how you became part of Pinayista this year, and have you been to any prior years?
Actually, this is my first time. When they first came out, I know I wanted to participate. But during that time, I was in so much travel, different business directions took me out of the state. But yeah, it was honored. I was so honored to be asked this year. They reached out to me and said if I wanted to do a lightning talk. And I was like, this is great. This is a perfect opportunity to not only share my energy, but participate with other Pinays. And again, the big thing is to just share my story and show them of who I am and what I'm about, and that, hey, they're not alone in their journeys, and that I think from my example and my experience can definitely shine light in their directions and their own personal paths.
I really loved your A to Z kind of like through line of your career.
Yeah.
But part of it was grief is part of growth.
Yeah. Grief is something that I would say more recently just really started to embrace. The past few years, like, just in all honesty, I think grief was on my top list more recently because I had a best friend who passed away through suicide, and it took me about a year to really grieve them. But that wasn't only how I embrace grief, but to really feel that grief feeling inside, and to really even dig deeper into grief in general and how it pertains on the past feelings I've had in transitioning through business, through life, through identity and culture, like, and just really diving into the grief piece of, like, you have to go through grief to get through the brighter side. It opens more doors, it opens more opportunities, and a lot of healing, personal healing of who I am and just how I move in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thank you for bringing that up, Erin, because that was also kind of my favorite part about your talk, and being able to talk so openly about grief, which we're never taught about. We're never taught how to deal with these emotions. But another big part of that is when we grieve, it's because we loved something.
Yeah,
that's absolutely no longer there. So thinking of it in a way of, I'm grieving so hard because I loved something, and that makes me lucky either way.
Right, totally. That change is real, and it's that transformation of growth is a whole nother feeling, the feeling, and just a whole nother direction.
So how was it for you crying in a room full of Pinays all hour morning?
Like I said, when you embrace grief and your emotions, and again, like, I've shared my story in different rooms with different people, different communities, and it feels good to, again, I think my big thing is always showing representation of who I am, like, we mask so many things that to be in a vulnerable space. And shoot, I'm considered a tita now. I'm in the elder, level, and it's all good. Like, I have no shame in grief. If we're having a conversation here and I start crying, like, I'm all good with that. Like, I know I'm gonna feel even better after.
Mm-hmm. It's a good release.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of where I'm at on how I.
Another part of your talk I really appreciated was being a mentor to the next generation.
Absolutely.
So my question to you is, like, what advice are you giving the next generation, or maybe what are they inspiring you to do?
Right. I love inspiring the next generation because it shows your influence to them. It shows their own growth, or growth in me personally. And again, something that they could experience and trust that, hey, they went through that and I could do that. A lot of my experience came through those who led the way as well. Like, if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for my mom, my grandma, and all them, and my sister to really show me Filipino food and how we could throw down in the kitchen and how we rock in our culture, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's just more honorable to be able to share that with the next generation. And shoot, like I said, not getting any younger, and, they got to run this world, So, and this is just a whole nother new level of ways to teach the community and teach the new generation how to rock and roll.
On the topic of maintaining our culture and passing it on to the next generation, what are some things about Filipino food in general that you love and that you think other people that aren't familiar with it can enjoy?
Sure. Filipino food, like, it brings us together, it brings the taste of home, it brings our culture, brings that feeling of comfort, and when it comes to our flavors and how we rock in the kitchen, like it just brings us together mainly. That's where
with a lot of garlic.
A lot of garlic, right? Hey, power to them people that threw down the kitchen. I was just of service because I know how it is to rock food, and you know what I mean. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a labor of love, and it was just been honorable just to even just serve everyone here.
What are some Filipino dishes that you think somebody who's listening that hasn't had any has to try?
Well, everyone says adobo. All right, cool. That's done and said. What brings me home is apritada. That's one of my favorites because it always makes me think of my grandma. She would always cook apritada, the potatoes, the bell peppers, and the sauce, and mash up the potatoes with the rice. Like, I remember she would make it, and we had a large family that lived with us, folks that came from the Philippines that stayed with us and try to, get back on their feet to survive in this world. And my grandma would always take a whole chicken to feed everybody and chop it up in so small pieces. And I would tell my grandma, and I'll be like, Grandma, like, it's full of bone. There's no meat, right? But this is how we fed everybody in the house. And ever since I said that, like, she would always put whole pieces of drumsticks and all, like the whole chicken was practically whole in there after I was like, there's no meat. And now I got too much meat. But apritada is one, it's soul food, and it brings it back to home.
So on our show, we have this new segment called This Bitch.
This Bitch.
So it's really either you're highlighting someone or want to give a shine, or you're like, this bitch did me wrong in the DMV line,
Oh my God.
And I want to vent. So do you have this bitch right now that you can think of that
that's
you want
a hard one. Let's see.
That you want to shout out, or maybe not shout out?
Let me think. I'm thinking, it's so funny because I felt like this week, like I had a moment of this bitch.
Always.
Yeah.
Just one this week?
I feel like, hey, I'm always driving on the road, and there's always that wild person driving, and you just want to, even share, like, or if they could only hear you, and all you could do is be like, this bitch had no business driving like that by me. Don't have me step aside or pull over and park and do something else. But, shoot, yeah, I have my side-eye this bitch moments a few times. But,
in the car. Yeah.
Okay, in the car.
Fair.
That's fair. Yeah. No, cool.
Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you.
It's been a beautiful day, so we'll see you out there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So what's up? I'm Lady Ray. I am in a very transitional place in my life and loving every minute of this scary, funky, fun ride because I spent the last 22 years being a voice on 106 KMEL and also on iHeart radio stations throughout the country. So hopefully you've heard my voice somewhere, somehow, whether it was on a radio show, a commercial, a PSA, a piece of voiceover work, and that's where my new path is going. Is I'm continuing my voiceover work. I'm continuing to build, social equity, social responsibility for corporations, and working in branding, strategic partnerships, public relations, and media relations. And then also, of course, like I said, a lot of voiceover work still. So I'm developing a couple of podcasts. Also, people are asking me to come on and develop their podcast more. So I'm like letting this last 22 years of being able to have the opportunity to pour into other folks to now have the opportunity to say, I have 22 years of experience, of growth, of relationships. And now what do I want to take off and do next? So that's who I am in a nutshell. It's a lot, I know. But I've had the opportunity to see and do and feel almost a little bit of everything when it comes to this media world, right? Like, in my 20s, it was great because I didn't have kids, and they could be like, hey, do you want to go cover this movie premiere on the other side of the country and take a red eye? Yeah. Hey, do you want to go cover this biofilm for Biggie, and his mom's going to take you on a tour of Brooklyn? And yeah. Have Coretta come onto the bus with a fur coat on and give us a tour? What? Do you want to go cover this award show? And, hey, we're not gonna pay you a talent fee, but we're gonna take care of everything else. I'm like, you had me at do you want to go? Yeah. So being able to have conversations with folks that I admire, and then also be able to have important conversations for women in the industry, for Black and brown women in the industry. I have a podcast called This Mama Got Drama. And the drama is the emotions that we go through on the daily, trying to realize our goals and our dreams, and doing it while simultaneously being a woman, trying to have your seat at the table. And by the way, you're also a mom. And I've had some amazing moms come on and tell their stories. I'm talking about a woman who was designing for a major corporation and decided, I want to start my own design company, and then found out while she was launching her business, she's having twins. How do you juggle that?
Ooh.
And how do you get through that? So we have these important conversations, and it's been a blessing, and it's going to continue to be an exciting journey. But talk to me. What do we want to talk about today?
Yeah.
There's so much. There's so much.
I could just keep going.
Yeah,
really.
I have questions. No, but I know when I fell in love with radio.
Yeah.
But when did you fall in love with radio? And when did you know, like, okay, this is where I want to go?
I talk. I literally love talking.
I didn't know that.
I love talking to people, and I love listening to people. And I actually, I was born into a very musical family, meaning before the age of 1, toured all of Europe because my dad was a musician.
Oh, excuse me.
And
you had a passport, baby passport?
Girl,
do
my
you still
mom
have it?
to this day gives me and my dad flack because she had to change nappies, is what I think they're called, right?
Yeah.
On a freaking train, because my mom, who's Filipino and didn't have citizenship at that time, couldn't go past certain borders.
Oh my God.
And got stuck because she didn't have diapers because she couldn't go past her. So we read this whole, I should let her tell the story because I feel like I'm misquoting her, but it sounded rough.
Yeah.
Right? So I say all that to say, really, really strong family in music and entertainment. And also, just growing up in that gave me this like, okay, I could be in this industry. Do I want to be on the mic singing? Probably not. And so I found what was good for me, which was talking about the singers, helping them break their records, helping them get their artistry to the people. And like I said, I've always been a talker, and I figured out a way to get paid to talk. And that just, it made sense for me. Yeah.
Can we be honest about your relationship with podcasts when they first came out? As somebody who's in radio, I would imagine, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but it took away, obviously now radio is struggling, and podcasts, everybody has a podcast now.
Everybody.
But now it's sort of like a love-hate, because we love podcasting because we love for the same reason you love radio. I love talking to people, and I love learning from different podcasts. So just sort of the origin of the birth of podcasts and what it meant for radio and sort of the relationship.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we can curse on your guys' podcast.
We love cussing.
I figured I wanted you to say I wanted you to say the name out loud again so that I could say it and stomp when I say it. The shit was fucking weird.
Yeah.
It was. Because we at that time were just radio. And then it started being like, oh, you got to actually put makeup on when you come to work. You can't be in your sweats anymore. It wasn't like, I wasn't fighting it, but I just thought it was weird because it was like the entire landscape was being painted and changed in front of our eyes, right? And we all experienced this because we were there for the birth of like social media, for the internet. Like all this stuff has been here, but to actually implement it into your daily life and actually have it as a tool happened during our lifetime. Like most of us grew up watching the Jetsons.
Yes.
And I remember being a kid and being like, what the fuck?
Rosie.
They have video phone calls?
Right.
And remember when FaceTime became real?
Yes.
And it
God,
was
I
like,
didn't think about that.
We thought about it. We were like, oh my God, they're really about to drop this shit.
Yeah.
And it was like this same sort of feeling with podcasts because it was like, it's weird, but it's also kind of cool. And like, how do I embrace this? And I honestly wish I would have embraced it sooner. I think at that time, I just didn't know how to apply it to what I was doing at the time. Because what I was doing at the time was so live and in the moment. Meaning, we didn't have social media still. We had it, but it was not functioning at the caliber it is now, which means phone lines. That was the way. People still called in when podcasts were first coming on the scene. And it was like, you want me to take my live show and the feeling that I am, giving and getting from my listeners listening live, and you want me to package that 4 hours into like little snippets? Like, what are we doing? So it took us a while. And when I say us, I mean just the people that I was working with at the time, to really understand how to make it work for us. And there were some people that just automatically embraced it, and they were just podcast, every week. And those are the people that have had longevity in this, because they just figured out, whether I know what it is or understand what it is, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. But I'm still going to maintain my bread and butter over here. So to answer your question, it was fucking weird.
Yeah.
I mean, my question's a big one, and you kind of just talked about it. But I guess, how has the radio game changed for women of color?
I think there are more spaces for us. If you actually look at, the org chart right now, you are going to see a lot more women in executive positions. You're going to see a lot more women of color in those positions. You're going to see a lot more women on air, whereas before, we just weren't there. We were the midday girl.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's what it was. It was the midday girl. But
I think except for Renelle.
Except for my mentor, my kid's bonus grandma, Renelle, she stomped that shit down and became the first to be an announcer for a major baseball team. Yep. Which I'm still
the same.
I feel some type of way.
So do we.
I'm not gonna go in on how I want to.
That's a side podcast.
Yeah. You're the next time you're on.
Yes.
Part dos. Because man,
I have bones to pick.
Yes. And and to know her personally and to be able to come up under her was such a gift, because I grew up listening to her.
Same. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I'm your intern. Oh my God. Like, wow. And so I say all that to say, like, we're there. We're at the table. We're at these conversations. Can we be there more? Yes. Should we be there more? Yes. I always tell, like, because what I would do at the radio stations is I would bring in youngsters that, like, are really wanting to be in media in some shape or form. And I would give them tours, bring them in the studios, let them actually see things, touch things, understand what's going on. And it was always refreshing to see young women of color that are, like, really still down with this, right? Because, like you said earlier, like, everyone has a podcast now. Everyone is an influencer in some shape or form. Are they making the impact that they think they are? Maybe not so much, but who am I to judge? So what I'm saying is, they're there. There's the excitement there. The landscape is changing. We all just need to figure out where we want to fit in this new landscape and what we want to create to take us to the next level.
I have a lot more to say, but go ahead. Just questions, and anyways, maybe it's more for coffee later.
Yeah, on that topic, we are all on the closing panel together, which is really exciting. It's titled Turn Up the Volume, Pinay's in Music and Media. Can you talk about how you got invited to participate in Pinayista and why you're happy to be here?
I'm completely happy, honored, and just excited for this panel. I'm hoping that it spurs into follow-up conversations. I actually did a panel back in February where I hosted Gina, and it was, Filipino promoters, the after-hours scene, like, what does that look like, and how people are not even acknowledging how Filipino promoters have been doing this and bringing the party for so long, right? And so we had this panel, and ever since then, like, I've just been hitting up Gina, like, what are we gonna do next? Like, what do we got? What do you have coming up? What can I support? What can I be a part of? I feel like I have so much to share, and I want to support you. And she was like, what? Girl, so we had this meeting, and she was like, okay, block off your calendar this day, and she had all these things coming up, and I was like, yes, 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 and yes. And so I say all that to say, like, you spend so much of your time trying to climb this ladder, right, or establish yourself, that a lot of times you put your head down and you just kind of do the work. And you don't always have time to go to events. I'm basically that voice that was like, I'm supporting your event from afar. I'm doing whatever I can. I'm telling people about it. I'm turning on the mic, but I can't always go to the event because I'm doing so much behind the scenes to support these events, right? And so now that I'm in this new phase where I'm like, I can come to shit now. Like, I can be in a workshop with you guys. I can give a workshop now and talk about the shit I've seen over the last 22 years and how it's changed my life and changed other people's lives. And so that's how it happened. It literally was just me being like, I'm ready to come out and meet people and talk to people. And it's funny because, like, sometimes I meet people and they're like, holy shit, I've been listening to you since I was like blah blah blah. I never, put a face with the voice or whatever, and it's because I was doing so much behind the scenes, from working on with nonprofits to increase their bandwidth, create their messaging, helping them craft their decks, and on top of that, creating the messaging that we're using across 7 different formats in order for them to tap into audiences, whether they're looking for folks to let them know, hey, we're doing this dope-ass work, here's some resources, or we're doing this dope-ass work, support us, donate money. So all of that messaging and packaging takes time and effort. And so once the conversation was able to happen, I was like, please sign me up. And then we had a bigger conversation of like, well, who else do we want to be on the panel? How do we put this together? Who do we get to be on it? So I think it's come together in a very organic and exciting way. So I can't wait to see, how the panel goes.
Me too.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say, but I also want to listen. So, okay, last thing. We have a closing segment called This Bitch.
Okay.
So, you can shine a light on someone or you can vent a little bit. So right now, who's this bitch for you?
I'm like, I can only choose one?
No. There are no rules.
There are no rules.
Okay. Well, I have to start with this one, and I if it's gonna feel weird to even say it, and I'm hoping that she doesn't hear this because she's automatically gonna take it wrong.
Oh.
And this bitch is my mom.
Oh yeah.
My mom is the fucking, oh my God, this woman is strong with the capital STRONG. She is the oldest sister, meaning she's got 3 brothers above her, and if anyone knows having older brothers in the Filipino community, like it's a lot, right? And being the first sister, oldest sister, means you also are now like the second mom, right? And so she basically, at the age of 11, when they came to America, she was already the mom figure already, but now it's like, oh, you're really the mom figure now. Because my grandma and the baby, my baby aunt, came to America first for a year, which means she was back in the Philippines managing the house for a year, right? So I didn't learn about this until I went to UC Berkeley and I took a international women's class, and I had to interview the women in my family. And it was the most like moving, emotional, like, because you're in your 20s. Your brain isn't even fully developed yet, and you're like, I'm sorry, you did what now? At 11?
Yeah.
So that bitch is my mom.
Yeah.
And then she came to America and raised a family, created businesses, and is just, she's that bitch. She's nice, but I'm going to tell you straight. Sometimes I have to look at her like, ma'am, we are in public.
You're at a Wendy's. Yeah, you're at a Wendy's. Let's calm down.
We are at a conference. I'm supposed to be speaking at this thing. Would you please lower your tone? I mean, and I also have to say, man, there's so many.
I know.
That just means I got to come back on the podcast.
Correct.
That's really all that means.
Correct.
Please. Don't threaten us with a good time.
Shoot, you ain't got to say that. Yes, I'll be back. And if I really just want to turn the spotlight on to everyone who's here today, because it takes a lot to say, you know what, I'm going to spend an entire Saturday and invest in me and try to figure out where I want to go, how I want to use my skills to really create some good impact for the world, right? Whether it's you're just making a craft or a piece of jewelry, and this is my one, I'm so good at this, but I'm going to do this in the best way possible. Or if it's, I'm over here consulting for 500 companies and helping them grow their business in a way that's equitable, socially responsible, and actually doing something, right? I think it's something to just admire. Like, I brought my aunt with me here today, and I just gave her just like a little snippet of like what, because I'm like, you have no idea. This is some dope shit you about to see.
Yeah.
So it's you guys, it's Gina, it's all the women that are in those breakout sessions, those rooms. I was kind of walking around checking it out and hearing some of the pieces of the conversations, and I only got to hear little bits and pieces, but the little bits and pieces I heard, I was like, God damn. If that's just the nugget, what was that whole workshop? So that Pinayista is that bitch today.
Correct. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. You can find more information about this episode in our show notes.
If you're missing us, you can visit us at bitchtalkpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter and buy us a cup of coffee.
Did you know we're also on the radio? You can find us at bff.fm.
And lastly, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All the cool bitches are doing it.